I'm Christopher Titus, people, and this is the Armageddon Update. Oh my God, the continuing horror of the holiday season that our current timeline is playing out. Got it. You know, that makes me kind of hope for a nuke or an Ebola variant that would only kill people who use their phones while driving. Well, the Republicans have decided to kill your health care. They wouldn't even have a vote to extend it. They have decided to randomly also blow up boats in the ocean, and they've given the richest people even more money, cutting their taxes while tripling what it's going to cost you to go see a doctor.
The kid wasn't sleeping. The kid was dead.
Let's look for some long branches. We'll build him a stretcher.
Bankrupting farmers because of tariffs, and then this 6-time bankrupt economic genius is bailing them out with our tax money. Again, you know, like he did in 2018.
Very, very large brain.
And this is after simultaneously getting our farmers' contracts killed and stopping all food aid to poor countries. Not only hurting our farmers, again, because you do know that the contract to supply food to these poor countries was actually filled by American farmers. So it's kind of a double clusterfuck.
Look, right across the board, it's one louder, isn't it?
He's really good at making mistakes, but estimates by international aid organizations say that in this year alone, 700,000 people have starved and or died of preventable diseases because of electric Heil Hitler and this dementia-riddled Ginger Grinch. But isn't that too cute of a name for him? Trump is an anal vortex beyond any human imagination, a diseased polyp on a jackal's ass. Trump's response to the death of Rob and Michelle Reiner was probably one of the most evil, despicable, hateful things I have ever read. Trump would have gone after Mother Teresa for helping lepers.
When you looked at that horrible woman, you said, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not a pretty woman. She could only pull a leper.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
And today in a closed-door session, Jack Smith testified that he has evidence beyond any reasonable doubt that Trump tried to rig the 2020 election. The level of scumbag in this president is unmatched in American history, and that's saying something. He's a stupid supervillain, a dumb divider, an inept instigator catering to people even more ignorant than he is.
They're stupid people.
If that's even possible. But his attack on Rob Reiner and his wife's brutal murder is just a level of lowdown none of us can imagine. Donald Trump is a stain on humanity. Yet Rob Reiner was the exact opposite of Kim Jong-Orange. First of all, besides being a stunning artist, actor, and director, giving us some of the most iconic films in television of the last 40 years, Rob Reiner was also a warrior for good. When California passed homophobic Prop 8, Rob Reiner founded the American Foundation for Equal Rights. The group paid for the legal fight against Proposition 8, and he got the anti-gay marriage bill overturned in the Supreme Court. That's who he is. Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, were advocates for good and right. They could have just lived the A-list Hollywood lifestyle. Inconceivable. But instead, chose to use their power and fame to fight against the worst of us and stand up for those who couldn't stand for themselves. In the meantime, he also made some of the best movies we've ever seen. Rob Reiner took care of us in every dark theater. His brilliant films played in, master storytelling. Think of all the movies he did that you got lost in. Movies that just made you forget you were in the theater.
Yes! 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 Yes!
You were just in the movie. I remember hating Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Then the hobbling scene in Misery.
God's sake!
It's for the best.
Eddie, please!
Or how every scene in The Princess Bride is fucking magical.
Sir?
Huh?
We're in a terrible rush.
Don't rush me, Sonny. You rush a miracle man, you get rotten miracles. You got money?
Then you add in Spinal Tap.
She choked on vomit. It was actually someone else's vomit.
The genre-defining piece of genius that's still in my top 5. Such a good, talented man. And I am so sad that we will never again have him take care of us in the popcorn darkness. Rest in peace, man. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update.
Oh! Gee, I'm sorry I did that!
If I wasn't so mad at you, I'd laugh like hell.
Fuck. I don't know if I can deal with anything else.
Who the fuck?
Everybody, Christopher Titus, Titus Podcast. How you doing? That was the Armageddon update. With me, as always, the lovely Bombshell Ray.
What's up, people?
And the Highlander.
There can be only one.
You know, should I change the intro? I like the intro. People don't know. It gives them a reset. We're like, okay, I'm back to my normal.
Yeah.
And for River, who we thought was a boy, the dog out there. Hey, River.
Our number one canine fan.
Oh, yeah.
You have to show Groucho if you're going to say hi to River because River waits.
Hey, River. Hey, River. Hey, there you go.
Get the squeaky. Get the squeaky.
Groucho has become insufferable since he found out that he has fans. Yeah.
Super diva bitch.
I will tell you this. I am stunned. You know, someone said it, and it totally encapsulated. I was listening, and they said, you know, it's weird. Every time you think he can't go lower, every time you think he can't do something that offends you even more, he fucking impresses the shit out of you. Like even Satan's got to be going, wow.
Yeah. He is finding new pain in all of us.
Are we specifically talking about
the Rob Reiner thing?
Yeah. Josh Gad was the one that made that post that I read to you. It was like, there is no lower. And then when asked about it later, doubled down on it and continued to say he was a failing loser, not very successful.
The most successful.
Like literally in the top 5 directors of the last 40 years.
These are movies that Rachel has seen.
Died in his 10-bedroom Brentwood mansion. I mean, and was meeting with the Obamas for lunch
that day,
the day that they were found. Very unpopular, unsuccessful,
loser.
$200 million, not wealthy at all.
I want to remind people who Rob Reiner was, and besides being great movies, and that's what when I was thinking about it yesterday, I was thinking there are movies that you sit in the theater and you get lost. He was Castle Rock was part of Shawshank Redemption, and it's like, so the movies that that he produced and directed, you got lost. You remember the first time you watched A Few Good Men?
Yeah,
where you were like, holy shit. And Nicholson, you're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And so when the movie crossed over from, this is a good movie, to like, you're like this, Misery. God, I'm a Stephen King fan. When Misery came out, man.
What are you talking about? What scene are you talking about?
No scene.
There's a lot of them. But
with the block between his ankles.
Where she hobbled his ass?
Yes.
And then they're like, so that's a director decision.
You can say,
can we just do it with the sound? And Rob Reiner was like, no. I want to see the foot go
just flop 90 degrees.
So so the movies and then you got and the genres were crazy, you know, courtroom dramas, comedies. When Harry Met Sally is one of those. And someone pointed out, I was reading about it today, thinking about it's a good movie, and I thought, oh right, he did something that most romantic comedies are young people getting together and discovering love. This was two kind of bitter people who had actually been through their life and were trying to find it again. And it's such an amazing story, and you rooted for him. So he got you in his movies. It wasn't just a guy who pumped movies out. But then on the other side, he could have just done that. That's fine. Genre defining, you know, I mean, when you go to Spinal Tap, it's genre defining. There is, if you're going to make a mockumentary, you have to go at Spinal Tap first. Before you even could start it.
Yep. So
he did that. So the talent pretty much unmatched. Just one of the most talented directors. Well, then you go, now California did something weird a few years ago. We passed Proposition 8, which is anti-gay marriage. And I still find it odd that we did that. For all you people that hate California, a lot of us, they passed it. Because I guess none of us thought it was going to pass. He founded an organization. They got money. He and his wife is Michelle, and they paid for attorneys. They got a conservative attorney and a liberal attorney together on the same team. They wrote the case. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they got Proposition 8 overturned.
Now, when was this?
And he financed it.
I don't remember it, which is probably thanks to them.
Under Obama?
It was a long time ago. I remember being in West Hollywood when the protests hit. There were fun protests.
Oh, yeah.
It was really like, this is the most fun I've ever had.
They're still going on in West Hollywood.
Yeah, 2008.
Okay.
That's what I thought, 2008. And so, and then he donated to charities. Everybody who's online talking about him, he was never a star. He never acted like a dick. He was nice to everybody. Yeah. There's a picture. Some guy goes, I just ran into him at a restaurant, him and Billy Crystal, and they both stopped and took a picture with him, like just on the street. And you just, you just get that Rob Reiner, his father was Carl Reiner, he was raised in show business, so show business wasn't a big thing to him. Doing good work was, like his dad. So that side, we've now honored Rob Reiner. Let's talk about the opposite side of this coin. We can put it up, what Trump said, but that he blamed that Rob Reiner got killed because he hated Trump. How?
Because of Trump derangement.
How do you what is part of your brain that literally a beloved public figure dies and you made it about you and then talk shit about him?
Unfucking believable.
And the bodies were still in the house. He tweeted it out. Yeah, they were still, they hadn't got a body. And he was.
Is there anyone else who's brought so much joy and positivity and sort of life affirming feelings?
Princess Bride.
That movie alone. Yeah, that movie all the memes throughout the years.
That would have been anybody's Citizen Kane. That would have been anybody's. And he did a bunch of them.
He called Reiner in that post tortured and struggling.
Exactly. Tortured. What? Rob Reiner's the most easygoing. What?
And then the president said that Reiner's death was reportedly due. So reportedly, he due to the anger he caused by others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction known as Trump derangement syndrome.
So what's scary? Okay. Besides being the most heinous thing I think any of us have read regarding someone beloved dying, do you understand the level of mental illness that you have to have?
Criminal level.
You could have mental
psycho,
illness. But to connect that, to think that, to go, to write that, and then put it out to how many millions of people, to write that down. Mm-hmm. You're out of your, do you know how many other countries that we visited would have, their leader would already be gone? They'd be like, yep, sorry. Yeah.
Well, in this country, he would have been gone. But we're not that country anymore. His son has now been charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of both parents, and faces possible death penalty, even in California. Special circumstances, killed with a knife, slit their throats.
And this is coming from the same people who screamed at the left or anybody who just recited the Charlie Kirk quotes. Who just put up what he said. Charlie Kirk said.
Yeah,
that's it.
If you play the clip and go, Charlie Kirk's a racist, we're going to kill you. What? And the sad thing about this is my mom was mentally ill, and you can tell that. Here's what a loving human being Rob Reiner was. The first time his kid was in rehab was when he was 15. He did 18 times in rehab. He did 18
before 22.
Before 22, he was in rehab 18 times. That's a father and mother who love their kid and were willing to do anything they had to do to protect him and make sure he was okay. The reports are really weird. Like there was a party at Conan O'Brien's house, and he was just his son was just going around, going to get in people's face. Go, so are you famous? How famous are you? And just doing that. He's obviously either in having an episode, obviously, or on drugs again. I guess your 18th time in rehab. One more time.
Yeah. This time.
At one point, and yeah, you got to love Rob Reiner and his wife for protecting their son, but you also have to go. I think there's a point for me where I'd be like, we can't do this anymore.
It's an interesting, I'll misquote it, but that Rob Reiner said he was doing an interview with his son, and he said that his son had told him that rehab did not work for him, that they tried and just couldn't get through to him. And Rob Reiner says something along the lines of, I failed him because I should have been listening to my son instead of these doctors, these strangers. And I was like, Marvel? What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's a very sad week. And then on top of that, we taped this on Wednesday, guys, tonight. And I'll probably be doing a supplemental Armageddon update after tomorrow. We have the press just out of the blue. Monday, he goes, I'll be speaking to the nation at 9:00 on Wednesday. And here's the thing. If you give me 2 weeks notice, I'm not that scared. You tell me on Monday, he just tweets out that he's going to be on TV on Wednesday. I'm like, oh shit.
What emergency is this?
Shit. Oh, what's about to happen now?
Well, Epstein files are due
Friday. Epstein files coming out Friday.
Right?
Yep.
Or 2 days after.
Yep.
We also have Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, who has done 11 interviews with Vanity Fair, where she just said whatever the fuck came to mind. So that's fun.
She did. And then she said, then they printed exactly. She goes, I didn't say that. And the reporter actually has played it. He's like, here's her saying it.
So he went after the Pulitzer Prize board, and
this is awesome.
They are now in turn demanding his tax returns, medical records, etc., as part of his defamation lawsuit against them.
And I read part of what they filed. It's not what they basically. He's saying that they went after him, that all these reporters are lying, and that they gave those. He's suing. Do you know why he's suing them? Because they gave the reporters awards for articles they wrote about Trump.
His ties to Russia.
And his ties to Russia.
So they awarded journalists for being good journalists, but the content of those articles were about his ties to Russia.
So he's suing the Pulitzer Board.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing. So what the Pulitzer Board did was like, okay, then we need to see all your bank records to prove that you weren't part of Russia. And so now he's fucked. I looked at the list of stuff they want. It's crazy.
Let me finish what I was going to say.
Exactly.
Hold on. I was going to.
All right. We're going to let it go this time.
We're going to put tariffs on the Pulitzer.
Well, it makes total sense. Like people that award best reporting, I just say like, all right, let's go. You want to go? Let's go. And that, by the way, that's how bullies always are. When a bully gets in your face and you go, all right, let's go. You seen that video? There's a great video on Instagram. There's this little black guy and he's in a supermarket and there's this big bubble white guy going, hey, I'll fuck you up, man. I'll do it right now. I'll do it right now, man. You better back off or I'll fuck you up right here in this store. And the black guy pushes his cart aside and goes, okay, I want some of this. And the guy goes, what? And he goes, I want it. Let's go. I want it. Let's go. Come on.
He's like, finally.
And he's like, come on. He goes, I want it. I want some of this. Do your best. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And you see the guy just kind of he starts glitching. Yeah. He's like, come on, let's go. Yeah. You were talking, weren't you? Let's do this.
They're all talk.
And it was really funny to watch. And so the Pulitzer Board is that little black guy. That's what I was trying to make. That's my point.
I was like, where are we going with this?
Everybody's in the supermarket line fighting. Okay. The economy is
like a little. The Pulitzer
Board is the little black guy.
Yeah, and Trump is the big fat white guy. He's a big fat white guy. So it works perfectly.
Okay.
Pulitzer Board's like, do you want to do this?
At the end of that video,
the guy stops. His buddy kind of puts his hand on his shoulder, and you can see he saved his friend. You can see the guy with the hat, the big red guy's like, yeah, we don't need to do this. Yeah.
He first asked him for his tax returns.
That's what happened first.
Okay. Let me see your tax returns.
The white guy also had 34
grabbed
convictions.
him by the pussy.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Yes, he did.
And
yes, he did. And then he tried to foment a coup on the government.
Is this on the
supermarket?
Checkout
Just in the supermarket,
cash register.
Yeah, exactly.
He also had
that's how I'm comparing the
putting money out of the cash register into his pocket.
Exactly.
The whole time. Okay, yeah. I don't like this analogy. It's actually really bad.
So I want to say that it's so funny how people got. After the Rob Reiner thing, people were like, this is it for me. This is my last straw. And I wanted to go, this is your last straw?
Yeah, exactly.
Like trying to overthrow the government didn't do it. Maybe releasing 1,800 criminals didn't release it. Maybe getting bribes from Qatar, that didn't, wanting to fuck his daughter, none of that. This going, went after Rob Reiner. I loved Misery. Like what?
Yeah,
like what?
We found a crack. Or it's like they're like, I think you said this the other day, is like people are looking for any off ramp
now.
And
without having to say they were wrong.
How many off ramps do you fucking need? Like on the highway of Trump. Like
the whole thing.
It's all. I was going to say it's all off
5 times a day.
Republicans are now crossing party lines to force Mike Johnson's hand on health care. I feel like Marjorie Taylor Greene was the canary in the coal mine once she went, because she was the craziest one. She was the one up and screaming during the State of the Union. Yep. She was the one chasing David Hogg. She was the one saying Jewish space lasers. And now she's publicly and chronically speaking against him because her family's getting death threats and bomb threats, and even her children. So now Thomas Massey hasn't stopped talking, and you've got Republicans that are going to fight for health care because they're going to lose their jobs.
4. So there's only 4.
Well, that's Republican plural.
Yeah.
More than one.
Here's how bad they want to get rid of Obamacare. First of all, they had a healthcare plan for 10 years now that they've never shown us. 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's
coming out.
It's coming out.
Yeah, it's in the binder, invisible ink. Then, so today, all they want to do is say, look, you guys don't have a plan. Here's what the Democrats have said. You don't have a plan. Let's just extend the subsidies. By the way, when they talk about these Obamacare subsidies, the ACA subsidies, that's your tax money anyway.
Yeah.
That you paid that money to have those subsidies so you could have health care. You've basically have paid for your health care and you're paying a premium on top of that. Okay. They want to have a vote today just to extend it for a year. Just a year. And Mike Johnson, not only did they say no, they won't even let him vote on it. They won't even let him vote on it. So when you people that vote Republican continue to vote Republican, I always want to say, what do you get out of that? You're not owning the libs. Libs think you're assholes. They think you're stupid.
I thought they were doing or signed a discharge petition.
Yeah, that's what's happening, right?
But that doesn't come up to January 6th. Everybody's going to get all of their...
On January 1st.
Yeah, your bill goes up. Okay, I thought it was triple. 600, and some people's bills are going to go up 630%.
I'm freaking out a little bit.
I would argue that these four, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Mike Lawler, New York, Robert Bresnahan, Pennsylvania, Ryan McKenzie, 3 Pennsylvania, they're getting a lot of heat. I would argue that those are the ones saying that they will, but there are more that will. They just want to wait and see. Mm-hmm. They don't want to stand for anything.
And doesn't the discharge petition get Mike Johnson out of the loop?
It forces the vote, right? That's what they did with Epstein.
What I don't understand, and maybe this is our history, the level of narcissism and self-aggrandizement and self-centeredness that it takes to be a politician, and I don't know if it's because you get $5 million a year, $3 million a year in expenses, or if it's the money, or if it's the power, or I guess it's all of it.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, exactly,
ding,
all of it. But
ding.
Why can't we just get some people that just want to do good shit?
We used to have people that didn't want to be in, and they got put in.
I will say, I'll say that until you read Rachel Maddow's book, prequel.
Yeah.
The one about the 30s. It's like before the economy crashed in the 30s, 20s and 30s. Same fucking psychopaths.
May the circle
be unbroken.
By and by, Lord, by and by. Ken doesn't know this song, or else he would already be harmonizing.
No, you got it. That sounds good. You're right in pitch.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a little like JD Vance, like whatever.
You're imagining the graphics. You're gonna okay. Got it. This episode brought to you by Helix. Imagine things in bed, comfortable, sleepy, CPC, as I call it for Groucho.
I always am.
CPC.
I'm always CPC.
Helix mattress next level. Ken is on one, ladies, if you're interested in trying a Helix without any commitment.
Quit staring into the camera like a oh no, finger guns.
May the circle be unbroken.
You just lost every
doesn't know
possibility for that's the worst Helix commercial. Hey ladies, I got a Helix.
Oh yeah,
Will Ferrell can pull it off. Will Ferrell can pull that one off.
It gets darker early. You're spending more time in your bed. This is the time before Christmas to buy a new bed. Great investment, great Christmas gift to yourself. Get yourself one. That's what we did. That's what he did. You will start to notice better sleep. You will wake up feeling no pain, joint pain.
Less back pain, a lot less.
You wake up less at night. They don't have motion transfer. Like when he gets out of bed, I don't notice. Well, that's a lie. I notice everything, but
if I breathe weird,
because I have insomnia. Normal people don't notice. You go online, you do the Helix sleep quiz. That's how you find the exact mattress for you. They're not a one-size-fits-all kind of company. They are specifically tailored to you. So, do you sleep with someone? No.
Oh man!
Do you sleep on
it's okay. Why you got to be so mean?
Because it's a mattress ad. Do you sleep on your back or your side?
He sleeps curled up in a fetal position and sobs quietly. He weeps.
It is the crying game in my house. God damn it!
So we have the one we have
is called the crying game.
The one we have. That's a bedroom plaque on his bedroom door.
When I filled out the interview, the thing it said, the crying game edition.
Oh, that was what your mattress is?
When we got it and put it together, it was really cool. Is that they had this
ours has a pillow top
thing, but it zips away. It zips in. It doesn't just lay on top of the bed.
I have never seen that before.
It was really cool.
2 different boxes. They both explode. It's like really well tailored. You unzip the mattress once it's exploded, and you slide the memory foam in, and then it's crazy. They're award winning. They've been tested and reviewed by like Forbes and Wired. Like, this is a seriously legit company. You get a 120 night sleep trial and a limited lifetime warranty. So how can you not do this? Right now, for listeners, you can get 20% off site-wide. This is their Cyber Monday sale extended. And so you can get 20% off if you go right now to helixsleep.com/Titus. That's helixsleep.com/Titus. Make sure you put at the end Titus Podcast so that they know that we sent you. helixsleep.com/Titus.
Helix CPC.
You know what I noticed? You dream again. You dream a lot more.
When you aren't waking up every 8 minutes because your bed sucks, you do dream. You finally hit REM sleep.
And every day is a nightmare now. So
also, after this deal ends, exclusive for listeners of this podcast, they have another deal right after that for 27% off site-wide. So this Christmas season, that's the time to go get this mattress.
All right, guys. Guess what? We have a special guest. We've had him on. We've had him on before.
And I want to say something before you bring him on as a segue. Jack Smith testified behind closed doors to Congress today, and as far as we know right now, what he has said is that we knew beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump interfered or attempted to interfere with the election results in 2020.
Yep. Well, the guy that we're going to bring on right now, we've had him on before, and he was the first one to actually show us some graphs that scared me. Today, I've met him in the parking lot before I brought him in the studio, and he said, do you have blood pressure medication? I'm like, why? He goes, because you're going to need it today, which means that Election Truth Alliance has dug deeper and deeper and deeper, and we are going to give you guys updates on possibly how bad we actually really got screwed as a nation.
Everybody take a deep breath.
Yeah, take a deep breath, and you guys sit down. Maybe a cup of hot cocoa with some milk or something.
I'll get the first aid kit.
Just in case.
Just ready.
Just have a bit of blood. He said that. He goes, "Do you have a blood pressure monitor? I'd like to track it as I tell you this stuff."
I actually do. I have on my Aura.
Good. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Ken, for being on. We're gonna please welcome Nathan Taylor from Election Truth Alliance. Come on in, bud. Have a seat. Well, guys, so Nathan Taylor's here. I want you to know that I have had a burning in my soul since the first time you were on, when you showed us all the graphs and amazing research that was done during the elections since 2016. I want you to know that I am scared about today because I don't feel like we can fix it. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Taylor, right? That's I thought you could. So, what did you find out? What fresh hell, my friend?
We have mentioned some of your lawsuits that we have seen, and we butchered the information horribly.
Well, any coverage is good coverage.
Yeah. Okay.
But here, so what we've actually done is I have provided an outline this time around to make it easier on everyone. So the things we are going to talk about in this video. We do have our lawsuit. We'll talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about some of our other things that we've been finding as we've continued investigating for the 24 election and recent special elections. We've had our eyes on what's going on around the US.
Since 2024?
Since 2024.
Okay.
So I know we had that special election in Tennessee, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We actually did start analyzing their data. We put out some public reports.
Just the basic data they said was crazy. I'm like, wait.
It's very interesting. Yeah. And then
are you following your outline?
Well, I took it from him. And then the part that I feel like if that doesn't raise your blood pressure, the parts that will is we're going to talk a little bit more about the systems as we've been investigating what we're finding, who's now owning some of these systems. I know that was asked.
Yep.
And then, the midterms, right? Like what are we going to do? There's problems. What can we do before the midterms? What is happening? So my background, as we said, Executive Director, Election Truth Alliance, Nathan Taylor. The ETA at this point has grown even larger.
What's your training? Tell me your training too, because your training is stats, right?
Yeah. So my background specifically is in network security, data analysis. I was a 25 Bravo computer tech specialist with the Army, and then got my degree in network security information systems. And then we've started working now we've got, PhD level statisticians, we got computer scientists, we've got investigative journalists. Our amount of experts in the ETA is growing, and they're all working on the same thing, which is what's going on with our elections. So
I just want to be clear. He's not some Yahoo going, man, there is a pedophile basement under that pizza parlor. This is a man who actually studies data is done this whole life.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
If he was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing too is we put out our reports on our website, electrotruthealliance.org. We put out our data and our findings. So it's not like we're just saying, trust me. We're saying, hey, you can investigate yourself. Here's our sources, our facts, and here's where we're going. The other thing too is it's been, I don't know how long, it's felt like 5 years since I've last been here. But I feel like it's probably only been 5-6 months. Who knows?
Right.
I've been doing this now for a year. The ETA has kind of existed for a year. I've been looking, the first couple months, it was 14, 15 hours a day looking at all of the data and the systems. And the thing that we're finding now, as we're presenting our findings, as we're asking for next steps, is we pretty much this isn't election denial. Right? That's the big thing is everyone's like, hey, questioning elections, that's wrong. The problem is audits and investigating our systems is not, it's not illegal. It's not.
You're not screaming at the sun. You're not throwing sticks at the sun. You're like, the data shows us that something is fucking wrong, right?
Right. And the main thing is all we want is, as we'll talk about with our lawsuit and our other findings, is we're saying, hey, here's some simple next steps that we can take to figure out if there's a problem. Here's simple things we can do. We can do these audits. We can do these investigations. And the response has been, what do you think the response has been at this point?
Let's get on it.
No. So here's the thing. As one of the executive directors of the ETA, I've had the chance to meet with multiple secretaries of state and their staff. At this point, I've met with 3 different secretaries of state staff. So we've met with the California, we've met with Minnesota and Nevada.
Wow.
We tried to meet with Pennsylvania. They did not want to meet with us, independent of our lawsuit. So every time we meet with them, their response is always this simple statement: it can't happen here. It's impossible. There's no way anyone could ever mess with our elections, right? They're too complex. They're too robust. No one would have the power. We would catch it if it's happening.
So they're throwing sticks at the sun, is what you're saying.
Well, all I'm saying is we're going to lay out the facts and the data, and then we'll ask that question again. Can it happen here? What would it need to take? And are we hitting those checkpoints?
Well, you have to first get past that defensive reaction, right? Like the hubris in that, like, no, we would never, because that makes them look bad.
Well, I think America has this mindset in our elections. We think we're immune, right? Yeah. We think we're special. Right. We think America is the best thing there is when it comes to how we run our elections. Yeah, we're number one.
Number one.
And the problem is, as we've started digging, we're finding that there are so many things that are raising red flags. And we just want answers at this point. Right.
Now, and one more thing is that, like, so if we go back to 2016, when you said this kind of started then, like the probing happened then.
Well, we'll talk about
over 12 years of them just shaving it down. At one point, it just seems normal, right?
I think that's a good estimate, right? If there's been a effort to mess with our elections for a long time, gradually, it would be harder now. Yeah. It's kind of like the frog in a boiling pot
Death
of water.
By 1,000 cuts.
Right.
Yeah.
You at this point, I'm used to this temperature.
Yeah.
But when you look at it objectively, all of these little pieces start to add up.
Right.
And we'll actually talk about that. We do have some concerns going back to 2016.
He printed out too small for me. So
you can't read it?
Heck no, he can't see that.
That's okay.
What is the first one? So I don't.
The first one is an intro.
I
think
we covered
Can we
that.
check it?
He actually did put catch up on number 1. So I believe we caught up.
Let's check that one off.
Talk about officials we've spoken to.
Yeah,
okay, good. You've done that.
Oh, right. I'm excited about number 2, Pennsylvania lawsuit.
Yeah.
So what went on? Hey, what? Ready? So what happened with Pennsylvania?
All right. So yes, as of right now.
No guests have ever brought in a fucking layout.
Oh, you're killing me. I'm going to need some blood pressure medicine now.
You're stressing him out.
No, you're fine. Yes. So the ETA has now filed our first lawsuit in Pennsylvania. It's encompassing 3 counties. One of them is, we'll actually talk a little bit about some of them, but we did put out a report before. I believe we talked about it last time, where we were looking at some of the biggest counties in the state. So these counties, it's the same thing. We have a lawsuit where we're seeking hand counts in those 3 counties. We've kind of laid out all of the problems that happened on election night. And one of the counties, for example, all of their voting machines were not able to scan ballots during the election day. It failed. All of them failed. In every precinct in the county.
Different kinds of voting machines.
I mean, they're all using the same systems in that one county, and they all stopped working. They couldn't scan the ballots. The county said it was because of a misprint with the ballots or whatnot, and they had to go and get additional ballots, get them sent into the county by afternoon. And here's why we highlight this county, and we're seeking audits in this county and 2 others. Well, what happened was after those machine failures, the workers, after they brought all of the ballots back, I believe, from the precinct to the county level, the county workers then had to hand duplicate those ballots. But that's okay. Whatever. It happens. Listen, they hand duplicated the ballots onto the type of ballots that they said the the machines could read. And then they fed them into the machines. So this actually gives us a little bit extra data points than normal. Because normally we just get told, what are the results after all the ballots have been counted?
Right.
Well, in this case, we got some statements, and this is in our lawsuit, where some of the officials in the county said that they had to hand duplicate around 65,000 ballots. Okay? Now, here's the thing. The official results for the county are only accounting for around 55,000 votes. So that's a little over, that's over 9,000 ballots that may have disappeared, or votes that never got cast. We don't know.
Maybe this guy didn't vote for it. Someone's doing it. I'm a Republican or whatever. I don't want this ballot tossed. They tossed 9,000
we don't know.
votes.
But that's the point is our lawsuit is asking us, well, let's investigate, right? Let's hand count those original ballots you have. And let's find out if this is a discrepancy with the machines counting the votes, potentially deleting votes or not, or if it's some other problem. And that's one of the things.
There should be a stack of 65,000
there
votes.
There should be a stack.
Or
something.
Right.
Well, and also in our lawsuit, we lay out some of the methods we showed you before, where we look at the results statistically and the red flags. Well, 17 precincts in Pennsylvania in our lawsuit have over 100% turnout. That means there were more votes cast than registered voters in those precincts.
So don't go past this.
Yeah.
This one was it.
And next.
So you're
Say it
telling me,
again.
no, we're not. So I want to be clear. Sometimes I'm going to stop you because you speak, because you know all the information. So I'm trying to get everyone else to soak it up. Okay. So, over 100. So the precincts only have 5,000 people, but 5,500 people voted.
Right. So yeah, I like to use the example.
Aren't we done there?
Well, so here's the thing. I like to use the example, right? Like you got 100 people who could vote in a precinct and 50 of them show up. That's 50% turnout, right?
Right.
If you're over 100%, that is a red flag. There's a problem. Now, here's the reason we even put it in the lawsuit specifically is we're saying, listen, it's the job of the officials that are listed in our lawsuit, the county and the state, to investigate the elections and the problems. And here's the thing is if you were doing your jobs, you would hopefully catch places that have 100% or more turnout, because that's not normal. Now, there could be...
It's actually...
it's
more
impossible.
Than 100% is impossible.
It's impossible if the records are correct. Now, here's one thing I do want to say is there's plausible deniability where the officials or the county, there could be a discrepancy between what the county's tracking and the state is tracking, and this is the state data. But what we're about to talk about with Florida is the same problem, and we've dug into the county reports and the state reports, and it's even more terrifying than that. But the reason that Pennsylvania lawsuit is important, we're probably going to have our first hearing maybe in January. And then, we're moving forward and saying, hey, there are all these problems. We need to hand count. Some of the other things we did bring up in the lawsuit is we talk about voting machine updates, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But there were some updates made that we've raised in red flags and many other things. And we kind of lay out the statistics and the voting behavior across all of Pennsylvania. And we're pretty much saying, listen, this does not look like a normal human voting behavior. And it needs to be investigated. And it is the job of the county and the state officials to investigate.
So
that's our lawsuit.
let me ask you a couple of things.
Yeah.
Because again, you know this information, so you're kind of spewing it out. So I want to make sure that everybody understands what you're talking about. When you say that they had over 100, it's possible that either the precinct got the numbers wrong or the state got the numbers wrong. That's possible. Plausible deniability means that's possible, maybe. But that seems odd. That's still odd.
You would have investigated.
You would know, and you also know the tax. People pay taxes. You know how they live. You know addresses. I mean, the state has all this record. You know how many ballots you sent out, right? Because we get ballots in California. You know, so that doesn't make any sense. I appreciate for legal reasons you saying it plausible deniability. However, it seems very far fetched that the county and the state wouldn't have at least a number close. Over 100% voting is impossible.
17 precincts.
Can't happen.
Across the state.
Wow.
And some of them are a little insane. I mean, really, it kind of feeds into the fact that we're like, hey, guys, let's take a second look. Let's double check, right? It doesn't hurt. Let's go see what's going on here.
What's been their response?
So we did receive, so we actually reached out to Pennsylvania's Secretary of State at large. We sent them a letter. And they responded back pretty much citing to us, all of the things and the reasons and the excuses for why it can't happen here. But we're saying, and we'll talk about where we've got some examples of other things like this with systems and machines being shenanigans. We're pretty much saying, listen, we know you've been told that the systems are safe, the systems are secure. We know that you're told that these audits would catch any problems. But let's go to the places we know there are problems. And let's double check with our own eyes and our own hands.
Right.
Let's do an independent audit. And the answer is almost always, no, we're not going to do it. And we've asked, and now, as you know, we have legal action to try and get, those hand counts in Pennsylvania. This is the first of what will likely be a few lawsuits. We are working in other places as well.
What happened in Rockland County? Isn't that one still ongoing?
As of what I know right now, Rockland County, New York, that was Smart Elections.
Right.
I believe their case was dismissed recently. Yes. And the reason why...
On what basis?
The reason I think what I've heard the reason was because they didn't have sufficient standing in the eyes of the judge or the court. And the reason why is for standing, you kind of have to be like, I'm the harmed party.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I think they had was their initial lawsuit had independent voters and an independent candidate who was kind of throwing into that. And I think they left the lawsuit. I think those plaintiffs left. And at that point, I think it was Smart Elections and maybe some more local voters.
Isn't just one voter who got fucked over by this? Don't you have cause then? I mean, you have standing?
It's my vague recollection that the judges that decided that it was a 3-judge panel and it was a conservative panel. I mean, I'm not saying that that's just these days seems to be a factor in a lot of things. Retribution, pressure from the White House, things like that. So
you said something earlier today that I want to ask you about, and I'm probably going to jump off my list because no one hands me a list.
I'm the first.
Yes, you are the first.
I'll make it bigger next time. No,
you said that as when you look at the data that during the presidential election, because I read a lot about this. There was a lot of people that didn't vote. They put Trump at the top of the ticket and then voted Democrat all the way down. And you said to me, you go, we're looking at numbers between 60 and 70% possible. It's possible.
So the official stance of the ETA at this moment.
You're on Christopher Titus' stance.
I got you. So here's the thing for those who are catching up. The ETA is very worried of a potential compromise of the voting systems across the U.S.
Yeah.
And that if that did occur, that it would have been enough to change the outcome of the presidential election.
Right.
And also some down ballot races have started to come up. And that's what our analysis is showing. Is we're saying if this is vote manipulation, this isn't human voting, and it looks like it could have changed everything.
Yeah.
So now, I just want to be clear.
Some of these numbers.
The ETA is for America. You guys are 100% about democracy and making sure the elections are free, fair, and safe. That's all they give a shit about. You're not liberal or conservative. You're just something's fucking wrong.
Free and fair elections.
Right.
Free and fair elections.
We just look at what the data is. I could care less about
exactly
who's beside the results. It's is this normal? Is this not? And yeah, one of the initial results we were looking at is we're looking at swing states and non-swing states. How did the voters vote at like the top of the ticket versus all the down ballots? And the amount of concerns we're finding now is we are worried that if that affects, for example, you had in some places you'd have like 7 or 8% less votes for Harris than some of the down ballot candidates, or 3 or 4%. 3 or 4% was really what we're seeing in the swing states across the board, where 3 or 4% of the vote would not go to Harris, but would go to a Democratic down ballot and could potentially go to Trump. And the reason we bring this up is we're very worried now as we've dug into the systems and into the behaviors that this could be an effect of switching votes from the candidates.
In the machines.
In the machines or the systems that the machines send the data to. It would look the same.
Can I be devil's advocate for a second?
Yes.
So, there's no fucking way the machines can be changed. They're separate. They're on by themselves. There ain't no modem. Ain't no hook it up. There ain't no cord plugging in. Ain't taking my iPod. I ain't plugging in that machine. That machine is independent, separate, and not connected to anything. Counterpoint.
Here's the fun part. Almost all of those major talking points may not actually be true. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So we got two major companies. We talked about it last time. Like
ESS.
70% of the U.S., ES&S and Dominion, are now Liberty Vote. These are your two major systems. They're used all across the U.S. ES&S is very popular in the swing states. And what we're finding, is that, I believe I mentioned it last time, the main argument is our systems aren't connected to the internet, right? That's what we get told. We get told, hey, you couldn't compromise these anyways because they're not plugged in. During the election, during voting, they're disconnected. Well, we actually have some facts here. We have found that the voting machines that we use in our elections, optical scanners, right? Election management systems, which is what they send the data to.
Right.
These are connected to the internet. Cellular modems are generally a common system in these optical scanners at the precinct level. That's how they count the votes, and then they send them off using cellular modems. That is very common, apparently.
Hold on.
And so I got another number. So there was a investigation by Motherboard/NBC where they found that the most common brand that we're using for like ES&S, they were doing some tests, and across 11 different states and in DC, over 33,000 systems that were connected to the internet that we were told was not connected to the internet. And so there is such a pushback. We're getting told, officials have cited this to me when I met with Secretary of State and their staff. They said, our systems are connected to the internet. And then I asked them in the next sentence, how do you send your data from your precinct to your county? They said, oh, we use, the modems and cellular. I'm like, so listen, hold up. If I get a text message, if I get on Google on my phone,
right?
Am I connected to the internet?
No, man. That's not, no, man. You're on by yourself.
So that's
I don't see no wires around you.
Yeah. And so, and that's, listen, and that's just what we're being told. That's just what we're able to find out so far. The systems we use are so difficult to figure out how they run things. They're not owned, right? They're not publicly audited. They're audited by entities that get paid to audit them. They're proprietary. They're very black box. And the problem we're finding is, why is it that the most important systems in our country that decide the outcome of the most powerful people probably in the world are owned by entities? Why are they so potentially, why is it a private entity that owns our elections?
Why is it that a private company, especially when you look at what the Supreme Court did with Citizens United, why is it that a private company gets to own the voting system and which decides basically who leads America? Because what you would get is eventually you'd get some real rich guy as president who is connected and a criminal, and then you'd have all these other systems, and then his buddies would actually help him. They would maybe possibly buy the voting system company, and then possibly they could affect the thing, especially if you say it's not connected to the internet. I think people think they need a cord, but it doesn't make any sense. So I want to be clear about this. People don't go machine to machine, get a printed output and then take it in. That information in the machine is fucking like Wi-Fi'd out.
So depending on where you are, where you vote,
right?
Some states have it differently, some states don't. But yeah, a majority, I believe, of the 24 election, I think around 70% of the vote was like paper, hand-marked paper ballots or like stamped by a machine. So in those cases, right, you fill your ballot out,
right,
and then you go to the machine and you either put it in a ballot box or you put it into the machine and it gets counted. Yeah, and then so it's never that your paper ballot is what's getting counted. It's whatever that data is that then gets sent off to the county. So the counties get the digital copies. Nearly 100% of the votes in the 24 election were counted by a machine. Mm-hmm. We did not hand count our data. There was only like a handful of places that was less than 1% that ever hand counted, and that was how they recorded. It's all machine based.
And these machines are all connected to the internet.
Potentially, or the systems that they're sending the data to is. That's what we're saying is the counties, the election management systems. That's what the counties reference for all of the voting results. It's what the state references. Those are connected to the internet. So the point being is it's the tabulation, it's the counting of the votes. And yes, if you could compromise either the machines or the system that the machines send the data to, or the data gets uploaded by USB, doesn't matter. At some point, if you could get into those systems, you could change the votes around. You could change the outcomes around.
There was a report that there was a programming update that was a, quote, minor update that was sent out, and nobody knew what it was. It was like, what, a couple lines of code, which could that have changed the voting?
So we do have this in our lawsuit for Pennsylvania. We did document that there were multiple software updates made to the voting systems, the precinct scanners, before the election. But, I mean, it's not abnormal.
But right before the election.
But yeah, and here was what was interesting is the main pushback we get is we certify our systems, right? They get tested. The counties test them before the results. Well, we found that there were software updates made, and we labeled this in our lawsuit. So there were 2 major software updates made for ES&S. They were approved and submitted before the election, for the 24 election, and they were labeled as de minimis. And what that means is you don't have to recertify your machines. You don't have to check again. And then, so those software updates got pushed through and approved, but then no one ever did that second look or that second check. And,
Wait.
And it gets a little weirder from there. We did look into what those systems did, and we have raised red flags, and other entities have raised red flags as well.
My blood pressure's going up.
Yeah,
right.
well,
we
haven't gotten anywhere. Yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's get somewhere.
Okay. But so these software updates, we've raised red flags because there were some files and some systems changed that were changed from static to dynamic. And that just means like cybersecurity wise,
right?
If you could get in those systems and like put malware or software on them, anything that's static is harder to change. And so there were changes made with the software update that were like, hey, this is a little suspicious. We're worried that if these updates went through, did they introduce any vulnerabilities that then I could, mess with the systems? I could put malware on them, or I could change things, and the security wouldn't have caught it like normal. So that's just some of the problems we're finding.
When I saw the output, some of the graphs, I went back to your stuff and looked at it again and looked at the stuff from Russia. And it's really weird how parallel Putin's elections are with the way the votes change at the end of the day, with how once they hit a certain number, the votes start changing. And we were talking about earlier, so you're not just saying it didn't just change it. And here's another weird thing. All the swing states were just under the recount number, right?
Just over
the recount.
Just over the recount.
That's what I mean. They were just
outside of that margin.
They were just outside of the margin, so they needed automatic recount.
Right.
So what it seems like to me, if I was going to put on my tinfoil hat, and it seems to me, and then you look at Musk and everything, if you do all the conspiracy math on it, it adds up way more than anything. So you got a guy who's a computer guy who actually said that those computers are easy to hack. Those voting machines are easy.
There's multiple professors and computer scientists that have, through the last couple of years, said they looked at the systems and they're super worried. There's been multiple professors that have said, hey, I don't like the way these systems are currently set up, because if you could get in, you could do all these things.
Right.
EMS. And here's, all right. So
let's start looking at graphs. Sure.
All right. We're about to get to the graphs, but we're going to get into the
I want pictures.
I'm about to show you some pictures.
Before we go there, let's do the ad. Go ahead.
I got to do this ad now. This episode brought to you by ExpressVPN. I was like, well, this is
perfect.
Perfect ad. Because every time you connect to an unencrypted network, if you're at Starbucks or you're on a plane or wherever,
in a polling
your
place,
online data, is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access to and steal your personal data. That includes passwords, bank logins, stuff like that, which is why you need ExpressVPN, which is now at its lowest price ever. It starts at I think it's $3.49 a month, which is ridiculous. That way you go online and it's like wearing a condom.
Okay. A digital condom. You have a digital condom. Right, okay,
right. Go with it.
Keep going. I'm with you.
I don't know. You take it.
Or an IUD of some sort. So basically, just for $3 a month, you're getting basically your data protected. No one can hack into it, or it's less likely to get hacked into. and it's giving you some protection.
The genius of it is that you don't need to be Nathan to use this. It's actually like your kid could figure it out. All it takes is you just get some cheap hardware and that's it. The thing is that our data online is extremely valuable, which is why hackers take it. I mean, they can make up to $1,000 per person just by selling your personal info on the dark web.
Going into your bank or going into getting your passwords, all that.
They just sell you like your
Right.
info. I've got, here's her passwords, her address,
Phone number.
and people will pay $1,000 for that about me.
Wow.
Without having to go do the work, right? Hackers get that. Do you know about this already?
course.
You're nodding like, yeah, you idiots don't use.
VPNs are.
How do you think ETM makes its money?
Well, we use that. It's basic security. It makes it harder to see
Yeah.
or steal information, and so I
For
recommend
so
it.
for $3 a month, basically, it's a lot harder for people to get into our data at all, even see it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
so all
awesome.
you do is fire up the ExpressVPN app and click one button, and that's it. It's that simple.
Nathan approved.
Works on all of your devices, which you want, iPads, iPhones, laptops, desktops, all of it. And you can have an optional dedicated IP service. So we recommend it. Nathan recommends it. Secure your online data today. Go to expressvpn.com/Titus. That's expressvpn.com/Titus to find out how you can get up to 4 extra months of this service. expressvpn.com/Titus.
Well, we have it because Nathan approved it. What scared you the most about all this? I want you to get what you want to get into. I know I have your list. I still have your list.
You can't see it, though.
We'll go right in.
But when we called you to ask you to come back on and give us updates, you were excited to come back on because you obviously in the last 5 months have found something or a bunch of things that have made you a little more concerned than you even were the first time.
Yes. So, summary is we have been investigating in Florida.
Oh, are
We've
we
been-
on that one? Number 3?
Oh, check out 2.
I've been
Check-
guiding him.
Oh, okay. Good.
Oh yeah,
good,
I feel like I'm being used.
good.
And so all right, so to kind of lay it out, one of the states that came up as a red flag when we did some of the initial data was Florida. So,
In everything,
of course.
crime, drugs.
So
Florida's a red flag.
And one of the things we
Basically.
found, what we found during our investigations, I actually met with a Florida local, her name Allison Green. She's now started making some of her findings public, and she actually, was telling me about some of the things she was finding. One of the things that I didn't know about, and she has now put up on her Substack, is in 2016. This is documented, by the way. This is documented and confirmed by the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, some military officials or military entities that do like intelligence, that in 2016, Russia targeted U.S. election infrastructure across all 50 states.
Yep.
Some people already know that. Now, here's the thing. They were targeting the registration databases, the vendor systems that we kind of talk about, the scanners, county election, like county level offices. But one thing that most people don't know is that during those recent investigations into what was happening in 2016, Florida, 2 counties in Florida, Russia successfully breached their systems and put malware on 2 of those counties' voting systems. I believe is their registration database is one of the systems we know about. And so this was actually confirmed. I know Bob Woodward has put out multiple books about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's got one as like Rage. And he talks about it. And here's the thing. He talks about the response. He talks about who was told about it. And he actually talks about, at the time, the president, that is now the current president, was briefed about those known compromises in the successful breach. Now, here's a few flags before we get into some more of the findings. The official report is that, yes, they got into the systems. Yes, they put malware on the systems. No, they didn't change anything. That's the response we're getting told. We're getting told. we're saying they got in.
So they went all this to effort. The fucking Russians got into our voting systems, but they just, you know what it was? It was a smiley face emoji. It didn't really change anything.
To put it in perspective, it's like casing a house that you're going to rob, breaking in, and then leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I didn't take anything. I didn't take anything, but now I know exactly how your house is laid out.
Yeah.
I know exactly where everything is. I know how to get in, how to get out.
But I'm not coming back.
But I would never.
I just wanted to pop in and see. Actually, Bob
But
Mueller,
I left some malware for you. I left you a present.
Yeah,
you know,
Bob
inside.
Mueller actually covered this in his report. and confirmed by DeSantis and other officials that the GRU gained access to 2 county networks, and Washington and St. Lucia counties.
St. Lucie,
yep. The breaches occurred through spear phishing emails that were sent to county election officials. They looked like they were from a legitimate election software vendor, but they actually contained malicious software.
Now, here's the thing, as we segue into what have we found in Florida. One of the things that stuck out to Allison, and she's talked to me about this on multiple occasions, is that the software they identified that got put in these systems in the voter registration database, it was flagged as being able to potentially change the voting data, potentially deleting voters. And they said, hey, we're worried, it could have been designed to delete maybe 10% of registered voters based on certain metrics like race, sex, the party that you vote for. And that could be used
zip code.
Yeah, it could be used to influence elections, a part of a bigger scheme. Now, what's interesting is we have now been working with Allison Green, and we've now made public some of the things we're finding in St. Lucie County, which was the county, one of the 2, that was breached in 2016. And we've now been investigating their 24 election data and their voter registration database. And the things we're finding, if you want to use the terms that everyone wants to know about,
He's just like, hold on, the gunslinger.
Most people would call this a smoking gun.
Right.
Evidence that there is a problem, that something is happening, that something has happened, and you need to investigate.
So let me ask you, what? So Marco Rubio actually said that the hackers were now in a position to alter voter rolls, but they didn't find evidence. Why, before you, did no one else maybe check in on this again?
And how come Rachel Maddow isn't banging on the wall? How come no one's screaming? Like we actually have voting machines obviously breached. We have proof of 2 of them. Even to the DOJ, it's not you're not some wacko. And we have our own government that said that happened. And what the fuck is going on? Why? How come no one's saying anything?
Now, we know the Florida officials were informed. We have multiple accounts of them being told, hey, this has happened. We know the White House was told about this. But as I said, we don't have anything to really tell us the breadth of an investigation that happened. We don't know if there was like an actual investigation. We don't know if someone actually went digging. We're just knowing what we got told.
It's on the FBI website, by the way.
Yeah. But here's the thing. That was 2016, right? Maybe, whatever. We went to St. Lucie County. I flew to St. Lucie County and met with Allison in person. And she then told me about all of the things that she had been finding. And then we actually went and did some on-the-ground investigations. Now, here are the things that we found. And this is currently either is or will be in different formats on her Substack, by the way. So this is not the only account of this. But this is the kind of the first time we've spoken about this at length yet. We found, per Allison's work, she was investigating. So what we did is Allison went to the county and put in records requests asking for like their voter registration database snapshots, voting results. So we got the 24 election, the presidential election. So most of this is the presidential election. But when she got that data from the county, she found that 35 out of 61 precincts had more votes for president than active voters there in St. Lucie County.
Say it again. Say it out loud again.
35 of 61 precincts had more votes for president than active registered voters in St. Lucie County alone. We've been investigating other counties as well.
What about down ballot?
I don't have
right?
I don't have the exact numbers.
But down ballot was accurate to its population?
I don't know. I'll have to double check.
Okay.
But president, 100, confirmed, over 100%.
How come?
35 of 61 precincts. It gets worse. Okay. So,
it gets worse?
Yes. So, for example, some of those precincts had over 160% turnout, almost double, 1.5. She found that during records requests, there was a discrepancy where the active voters for going up into the election, 24 election presidential, versus after the election, that 10% of those voters disappeared. That the number changed by 10%. The county did not document why those voters were removed. We only know because we have the voter registration database from before the election and after the election. 10% of those voters were purged.
More than half of the machines were compromised. Up to 160% of voting. That's crazy.
Right.
And how the fuck is this not on the news every day?
Well, it gets worse.
So, how's it?
As I said,
quit saying that.
We did some on the ground investigation, right? One of the things we did is we said, well, let's go to the places, since we have their voter registration database. Let's go to the places that don't really make sense. One of the things we found during investigations that Allison found, and as we've started working on, is we found that there were precincts that exist in official records, but for some reason aren't real voting precincts for people. For example, we found a UPS store that had multiple active registered voters that have their addresses and no other addresses, and that's where they live, and they're showing as active, having voted in the 24 election. We went to the UPS store, and they don't have registered, like they don't have housing there. They don't live there. So that's the first place we went to. We went to a boat marina.
P.O. box?
No, they're not allowed to use P.O. boxes for voting. You have to have an additional address. It's the only thing. It's their residential UPS store address. It's not a P.O. box.
So they basically put their address down as the UPS store, and there's nobody that lives there. It's not real.
Right. And successfully registered to vote using that. They voted. In that precinct, there was 4 voters in that precinct. We found a few other precincts. We went to a boat marina that had, I believe, 15 or so. I'll have to double check the numbers, but they had more than 10 voters that were active, registered there, meaning they're allowed to vote using that address. And they voted in the 24 election as well. We met with the very nice lady who owns the boat marina. And we said, hey, do people live here? And her response was, oh God, I hope not. And we went down the list and read her by name who the active voters were. Yeah. And she confirmed, hey, no, like these people don't live here. Right. They had a boat here, but they shouldn't be able to vote here. And that was, as I said, some of the first places we went to. Here's another. We identified a precinct that had houses that were under construction during the election. So no one lived in those houses. Right. You weren't eligible to reference those as your address. Mm-hmm. If you're going to vote in St. Lucie County, you have to live in the county. You have to have an active address. Like you have to say, hey, here's where I live.
Live in the fucking house.
Right. You have to live in the house. And so what we found is that there were active voters that had voted from houses that weren't finished and closed on during the election.
Houses weren't sold. They just used the addresses.
Exactly. And I went and I knocked on the door with Allison.
This is so Florida.
One of those houses. And we knocked on the door and we met a very nice couple. And we said, listen, we have 2 names here that are registered for this house. This house wasn't built during the election. Did you vote here? And they said, no, we didn't live here. We lived in Palm Beach County, which is the adjacent one for St. Lucie. I said, okay, well, it's showing as your husband voted from this address and cast a vote in the 24 election, but you weren't even living here. And you know what she said to me? She said, we voted in Palm Beach County. That was the first time he's ever voted.
So now, that means we're getting multiple
But it was legitimately her husband's name.
They owned the house and bought it and closed on it
and
after the results.
And it was his name that voted from that house, even though he voted in Palm Beach. Wow.
Yes. And so we have to follow up with them. They asked the county.
Does this count as double voting? Is that what you're saying is happening? Well, is that what it looks like?
What we're concerned about is we are concerned that if you could have breached the registration database, right, which we know Russia successfully did in 2016 in some places. If you could breach the registration database, you now have 1/2 of the pie to mess with elections because you know who can vote. You know who does vote, right? If active and inactive.
Right.
And you could potentially remove voters you don't like. Now, the other thing, though, is you could add in voters or make voters and make fake or ghost voters. And that's what we're starting to raise flags for, is we're finding evidence that there are fake voters being added into the voter registration.
Voters. Which is why we have 160%.
Which could cause over 100% turnout. And here's the thing is, the way you would do it is you would find voters who aren't active or aren't in the counties anymore or aren't in the county yet, and you vote for them. Now, you can't do it with just the registration system. So you got to compromise both. And that's where we've raised these red flags of if you've compromised the registration system and the machines that count your votes.
Did you film any of this?
Oh, well, not in person, no.
We need to do a documentary about this.
So we got some lawyers in Florida. We have a lawyer we're working with. I'll be going back to Florida. This is the tip of the iceberg, by the way. I've said that 2 times now, so I'll stop saying that. But that's just some of the things we've made public. We're now looking into the registration database going back multiple elections, the things we're finding there. And here's the last little piece for Florida. If all of that, right, if all of that could have been explained away by like discrepancies or errors,
There's
or whatever,
no way to explain 160% more voters than the 100% of voters.
He's about to make it worse.
Oh, I'm about to make it worse. So one of the things we did, and Allison worked with us on, is we asked the county for their voting data for the election in St. Lucie County. And they provided it to us both by like the different reports that we use for our analysis.
Right.
But they also gave us their batch numbers of votes, meaning how did you count your votes? How did they come in? And they put them in batches. And it just kind of shows election day, early voting mail-in. And one of the things we found when they gave us the data for those batches, the ballot custody logs is what they're called. We found that there were 23 batches missing from their audit logs in terms of like their sequential. So mail-in, right, is like first batch, second batch, all the way down to like 25 or 26. Election day and early voting, they were missing sequential batches. And we started asking the county, where are these batches at, right? Why would you count the votes and, you know, change the sequential batches? Why wouldn't it be 1, 2, 3 all the way down?
Meaning it goes from 12 to 15.
It skips around. It's missing batches. Some of these batches could be hundreds of votes in some of these precincts alone. So this is just some of the things we're finding is we're like, why are there so many problems? If you were changing outcomes,
Florida,
right? So we're just flagging all of that, right? Like if you've compromised the registration system, if you compromised the systems that count the votes, some of the side effects would be over 100% turnout. Some of the side effects would be votes being cast for voters who may not exist. Some of the things may be missing batches or voting behavior that doesn't look human. And those are all things we've documented at this point for Florida alone.
That's just Florida.
It's just
Why
Florida.
wouldn't they address that?
Who?
The people that turned that info over to you. Why wouldn't...
When you asked for their... What'd they do?
They called the county. I don't know what the county told them. As I say, we got some follow-ups. But yeah, the problem we're finding is, hypothetically, if this is a mass compromise of our voting systems, right? If this is everything, it's likely not the county. It's likely not the people who are running our elections. It's likely, you know, a third party or independent actor. And so these counties, the reason why we even bring this up is we want the counties to investigate. We want the counties to do their jobs and dig into this. The problem we're finding is we do audits, right? Every state has different audit laws. Some places will hand count or machine count and go back and look at the results. Well, one of the things we're finding is if those audits are sufficient, most of the time they're like small samples. We're saying, hey, let's go to the places that have the problems, and you know they may be missed by some of these really small audits.
Right.
But the other thing we're finding is who's running these audits, hypothetically.
The county.
The county, the person or the people who are running these elections. And what do you think the mentality is?
Right. You walk up to somebody in the county and go, hey, guy who's supposed to run elections, the elections are fucked up and obviously something's really wrong here. No, it's not.
Exactly.
I watched everything.
It can't happen here. And here's the thing we're finding is we are very worried that if you do these audits properly and there are problems, like let's say they hand counted some of these precincts during the election and they found problems, they're incentivized. The county and the officials are incentivized to make sure there's no problems.
Right.
Because it's your job on the law.
You failed. If what you say is true and you bring up the county, they failed at their job and they didn't look at it. Now, I don't see, as electronics have gotten bigger and we've gone away from paper ballots and stuff like that, these machines, especially if they're connected to modems and their cellular networks, right? Is it cellular networks they're connected to?
Yeah.
And that's how they send their data. That means they can also receive data, specifically if you reprogram the machine a couple weeks before the election. Yeah?
I would say this. You put a cellular modem in something.
Yep.
You could easily put malware on it.
Right. So now we have, what I don't get again, and again, this makes me nuts, and my blood pressure is going up. It should have stopped fucking dead at 160% of the voting population. So we have 100% of the voting population should vote. They never do. At most, 70% would be a crazy number,
average
right?
is like 60 in the U.S., 60, 63%.
Okay.
That's normal.
You got 160. 60 is pretty good.
Canada's actually around the same, actually. Most people think Canada is more engaged.
Yeah.
We're all ballpark, like 60s.
It's human nature. But at 160%, you shut it down and you go, guys, something's fucking way wrong. Okay, so that's Florida.
Well, And
did you check off Florida?
You bring up an excellent point. We'll get into Tennessee now, but you bring the question.
Number 4 is Tennessee.
You bring the question of why aren't we catching this, right? You'd think we would have basic processes.
Well, you have all the info. Okay, just send this to news outlets. What do they say when you send this?
They won't look at this. We've reached out to multiple. We've emailed 60 different like major news outlets or their reporters. We've had people who had connections to reporters. They won't touch this.
Why? What are you getting?
I think the problem is they're afraid. The taboo. It's taboo to talk about election fraud or election, compromises.
But it makes sense we've had election fraud throughout our history, from counting beans in a jar. We've excluded people, cut people off. They redlined districts. Gerrymandering is big. Look at fucking Texas doing this.
Part of what he did by screaming it over and over and over was he made it so disgusting is not the right word, but so Democrats. So there were obvious issues after the last election, but Democrats, we don't want to be like
we can't
them.
touch it, right?
And we just can't. And we're just going to move on. And it just, he's there and it's over and whatever.
Well, that's what it felt like Kamala did. It felt like I saw an interview after the election. We had you on. And then I saw an interview later and she just said, the system is messed. And the way she said it, I was like,
broken.
Listen, you're not the only guy with a computer and a smart guy. There's other smart guys. Not as smart as you, right? Agreed? Not as smart as him. Not as
okay.
Okay, pretty smart. Wouldn't there be someone in our government that would recognize this and go, and now my problem is this. I totally get that the entire system crashes. If this is right and you prove this right, and you look at all the graphs you're going to show us, and we go, holy fuck, why does that change so hard at that moment? Why do people vote for Trump and then they voted down ballot all Democrats? That makes zero sense. 160% voter. Someone else in the DOJ,
someone has to have seen this, right?
CIA, FBI, someone has got to have seen this. The problem is, which would mean it's a conspiracy beyond anything. So why wouldn't someone whistleblow this?
I think.
I've
had the same thought this is my personal opinion. I've had the same thought. I said, there's no way anyone with the same level or more access to the data and the records, like the FBI, CIA, Army Cyber, for example,
Army Cyber, perfect.
Why would they have not investigated this or seen this? And that leaves us with only really a few possibilities. One, they didn't investigate this, right? Which is implausible. Like, come on. Someone had to have taken a look. If I can do it, if the ETA can do it,
right,
from the outside looking in,
right,
someone on the inside has to be able to see things the same way. So they either didn't do it, which we don't think is true. That means they did it, they found something, or they didn't find something. And the thing is, we're finding stuff on the outside.
Or they went, because this takes down a country.
Well,
because if this is happening, it's like, oh, fuck.
Here's the problem is, let's say they found something,
right?
Who makes the decision? It goes up the chain.
Right.
It goes up the chain.
Some grunt found it. He goes to his captain. He goes, hey, shut the fuck up.
Well, I'll say this. If it goes up the chain, who's at the top of the chain?
The guy that stole it.
The guy that did it.
I'm just saying. I mean, we know there were briefs about known successful breaches in 2016.
Right.
I doubt that stopped since 2016.
No, if anything, it's gotten worse.
If anything, it's gotten worse. Why would you stop?
Well, especially if you got in that way,
Russia.
And they got away with it.
Right.
And then Mueller, I mean, they got away with it in 2016. Obviously, even Rubio said, she quoted Rubio saying, so obviously something happened, and
So
it just
why are they not
fucking went
watching
away.
this frantically. This episode brought to you by AG1. I got nowhere to put it in.
All right. Good. By the way, if your health is suffering because of this podcast and what Nathan's telling us,
no. We make no claims whatsoever about that. AG1, I use it every single day. I now use AGZ every single night.
Oh,
I now am convincing all of my friends to use both products, AGZ, though my friends, if they're complaining about sleep, I am like, you have to
listen,
take
AG1 gives you 72 different
over 75
adaptogens,
vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, whole food source superfoods, prebiotics, probiotics. You get magnesium, you get it all.
However, when you take this stuff, all I can tell you is this. Within 20 minutes, my gut settles down. I get calm. That coffee jittery thing I get, usually take it after my coffee. It calms everything down. AGZ, on the other hand, is become like, I went upstairs last night to go to bed and I was like, nope, got to get my, I went downstairs, I got my AGZ because whatever it does, man, I've never slept so good.
I think right now, too, with everything going on, it's really important to be proactive about supporting your immune system and your immune health. This basically fills in all of your nutrient gaps of stuff that you couldn't possibly take in on your own every day, and you don't have a whole medicine cabinet.
Right.
Keep this in your fridge. 1 scoop, put it in the shaker bottle with some water, you're done for the day. And I cannot also recommend AGZ highly enough. The chocolate mint I finally tried. It is so good. It is your healthy hot chocolate at night.
Yes.
I recommend doing it with hot water, and you will look forward to it. And within like half an hour, you will just be very drowsy. No hangover, no weird feeling. I just can't say enough about both of these products.
And AG1 is a great counter to our current Health and Human Services. They're not giving us any data on anything, so you might as well keep taking AG1.
Exactly. AG1 has their best offer ever the whole year. Right now, if you go to drinkag1.com/Titus, you'll get that whole welcome kit we're always talking about. You get a hat that says morning person. You get a bottle of vitamin D3K2. You get an AG1 flavor sampler, and you get to try that new supplement AGZ for free, which has been our game changer. That's drinkag1.com/Titus for $126 and free gifts for new subscribers. We each got this, and it is an insane amount of free product. We were like, where are we going to put all of this? It's really awesome.
But what I got when you were just saying this, we're using it. I use it every night.
Yes.
The chocolate mint for the AGZ is amazing. And you guys
burn through it.
We burn through it. There you go. Exactly it. All right. Now we're going to go to Tennessee.
All right.
Special election.
Am I going to be angrier? Am I going to be angrier?
I think there's some more. I think we've gotten all of the like stuff out of the way. Now it's just going to be hammering.
So you have
home.
data on all this stuff, right? This isn't just something you made up. Because the one thing that bothered me the most about when all these right-wingers were talking about the election was stolen, they never had a fucking shred of anything. They never once had a shred. They just took him at his word. He also has a tell. We've noticed over the years that whatever he's done, he accuses everybody else of doing, which goes back to Goebbels. So when he keeps saying the election was stolen, I always go, why do you keep saying this when you won? How do you win again and continue to bitch?
Well, I'll say this. A few of the statements we've seen, I think we talked about this last time, some of the public statements was talking about winning Pennsylvania, right? Winning Pennsylvania in like a landslide and thanking Elon Musk for knowing those vote counting computers.
Right.
And some other stuff we've noticed now as we've dug in and we'll show you is mail-in seems to be a very important way that we vote in the U.S. I think the numbers I had, we'll probably pull them up again here in a minute, but the 2020 election had the most amount of mail-in voting we've had before.
Due to COVID.
It was a substantial amount. I know it was over 70% of the vote in Pennsylvania was for, Biden's amount of his votes was like 70% of the votes Biden got in Pennsylvania was mail-in voting in the 2020 election. And some of the quotes we've now started, kind of finding again is there seems to be a targeted dislike of mail-in voting. Saying mail-in voting shouldn't be trusted, saying mail-in voting, shouldn't be allowed. And what's interesting is when we look at mail-in voting using the methods we showed you last time, and we'll show you again, they look normal. The voting behavior, the human element, which we're saying, the way humans vote, mail-in looks very human. But election day early voting, depending on where and when that's where the red flags are. So Tennessee.
When you say election day early voting, you mean
some places, some
early
places
voting by machine?
Go in person.
In-person voting,
okay.
right?
And that's through a machine.
No, that's a good point. So mail-in is, people vote mail-in differently than they do in person. Mail-in, generally, the county, you will tell the county, I want to vote by mail, depending on where and law. Some counties will just send you a mail-in registration form. But most of the time, there's an exchange. The county, you'll ask the county, or the county will tell you want to vote by mail. Yes, send me a ballot. They send you a ballot, you fill it out. Some places have strict laws for mail-in where you'll have to have like a witness co-sign, or you'll have to, have it notarized or whatever. And then you send it to the county. So you have multiple records that this back and forth happened for mail-in. You don't have that for in-day voting, whether it's early voting or election day, right? Precinct stuff.
So if you're running the machines, the first thing you want to do is kill write-in voting. You'd want to.
And I have never in my entire life
you'd want to kill mail-in.
Heard such a targeted attack on mail-in voting. It was always considered a good thing, convenient, helped
elderly people,
elderly,
The military
yeah,
votes
the
by mail.
military, yeah.
Overseas.
And the person that I've heard targeted so much is the person that has benefited from these elections that we're talking about. Interestingly enough,
I'll just say this: if you were to want to compromise an election and change things around, the opportunity, it would be easier to do it and get away with it by attacking like election day voting or early voting, because there's less of a chain of custody, right? Mail-in has a pretty strong chain of custody and it's notarized. So, that paper trail would show you who voted where. Election day, early voting, it's generally a, hey, let's get it all done type of stuff. Everyone will come in, vote, and, you want it over with as soon as possible. There's not a lot of time. Mail-in, you have a lot more time to work with things. You know how many ballots came in by mail. You know how many votes came out.
Yeah.
You don't get that for election day or early voting. And if you could change things, the machines miscount or whatnot, then it would be harder to catch that without doing a full audit, which we don't do. We don't hand audit 100%, as a standard. It has to be very small.
I'm going to ask you something, because you keep saying that there is no audit. We would need in Congress to pass a law that we would have an independent auditing system. Does anybody have that had nothing to do with the election, with the voting in that precinct? We would need a independent government organization that just audited the votes to make sure everything was on the up and up. However, then we get back to, well, what if it's a bunch of Republicans on there? Are they going to do it for real? So how do we?
I really bridge that line about Tennessee?
How do we fix
we'll
this?
get to Tennessee.
Because that was recent.
Suspense is killing me.
Well,
Tennessee was recent.
The last thing I'll say then, the main problem is the states own their elections.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to tell the states what to do.
Right.
And you almost have to go to each state and get them to pass their own legislation to improve their audit practices, which is something we're, looking at. How can we do, or how can we work with other groups with, the ETA to make it better? Because right now, a lot of these audits that we found is kind of like a rubber stamp, right? You just, hey, we looked, we checked.
Sure, we're missing 25 precincts, but whatever.
And then we're over here screaming in the background saying, what about this? What about that? But we'll get to Tennessee.
Nathan.
Yeah, I just relaxed. Okay.